Going with the good old show and go today. Show and go.
Love it.
You've got a lot of courage. I'll give you that. Coming on this podcast. I don't think you had the best weekend, did you? The best Labor Day weekend?
It sucks because like you get so excited for college football season.
Yeah.
It's the fall. It's like, it's football time and literally Labor Day weekend. And I'm already ready for basketball season.
You're done.
I mean, I'm still going to watch because I'm a fan, but I mean, it's like, I thought as a fan that we were past all the garbage from 2, 3, 4 years ago. Yeah. And it's like right back there.
That first year you guys had Norvell, like you guys were losing record, right? It's pretty rough. You thought that was in the past, but I'm definitely not one of the people to like hyperanalyze, overreact. It's very early in the season. Everybody starts jumping the gun on everything at this point in the year because they're like, oh, this team looked good, this team looked bad. But I will say,
they look like trash.
It looked bad.
I mean, it's not just the quarterback's terrible. Both lines of scrimmage have been dominated 2 games in a row. These are the same, Nick Saban knows football. Nick Saban said that this was a top 5 roster in college football. Nick Saban said that. There's others saying that Florida State had the best defensive line in football. Awful. They are getting pushed around and just dominated and can't block anybody on offense. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean,
I don't know.
The looks on Norvell's face on Monday night were like, you could look at his face. He's like, I have no idea what I'm watching. So I don't know. It just sucks that the season's over and it hadn't even started yet.
Yeah. What else did you do? Did you have a good Labor Day weekend?
Didn't really do anything. Just
relaxed.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had a bridal shower.
Ooh.
I guess my soon-to-be wife had a bridal shower.
Did you get to participate in such things?
Well, I was like,
you have to sit there and.
I was like, I don't need to go, right? I don't need to go. And she's like, well, like I guess like the good gesture, or it's well thought if you like show up towards the end.
You're there. You're sitting there while she's opening the gifts, and then she's got a buddy, a sister, whoever writing down every gift. That's how it works. I was not there the entire time. Did you get to participate in the what do they call it? The registry?
Oh yeah. It's very obvious what stuff I put on.
Okay. Well, I got to hold the little scanner. That's all I got to do.
Oh, see, it's all done
online. I didn't get
to
pick items. I just got to scan what she picked. So.
Yeah, well, it's all done online now, and it's on my Amazon account. So yeah, I'm going to go on there and make sure. But it's like, it's like, oh, do we want to get the cordless vacuum or do we want to get the new workbench? You know what I mean? Like it's very, very apparent.
I know if you came to my house right now and we served you dinner, you would be eating off the plates that we got at our wedding 22 years ago.
Seriously.
Still got them.
Seriously. So that's what I get to look forward to.
Well, I mean, they're still doing the job. They're still timely. Nobody complaining about them.
Yeah, she's like, well, I'm glad somebody got you a stud finder. Like she's upset every time.
She obviously doesn't. She's the one that needs one.
Welcome back into another episode of Where the Game Lives On, the official podcast of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. I just got roasted by a guy whose team is already out of the college football playoff.
Oh, you said to bring that up, didn't you? Yes. Let's just go ahead and take my medicine.
No, we won't go into it too much. Like I said, you can't overreact.
As I was saying off the air, it is very frustrating to be looking forward to college football, excited about it being fall, and basically can't even get through Labor Day weekend without the season being over. So everyone that listens knows I'm a Florida State football fan, have been since I was about 6 or 7. And I've been ride or die through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's certainly ugly right now. So.
Yeah. Well, we won't spend too much time on it. I'll give you my quick reactions from week 1. Everybody talked about how it was an electric first week of college football. And honestly, I was kind of like, there's not really a lot of good games on.
USC's national champion now, and Brian Kelly got upset again about losing a season opener. I mean,
did you see him slamming the?
It's such a.
We're having the same conversation.
And everybody from Notre Dame's laughing like, good riddance, dude.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I did think that
my family
back when he was hired down there, I did think that it was a good win for USC. Trust me. Did not want USC to win. Don't really care for either of those teams.
No.
That was one of the few good matchups, honestly. I thought we would just see, and I guess there are some tests going into week 2. I thought we would see less of the we're playing Furman, or what have you.
I did see an interesting quote. Of course, the SEC pretty well dominated. It was kind of cupcake central for most of them, blowing out teams. And somebody said that you're going to see this year after year because all of the good players from those cupcakes, from those smaller schools are now playing. If they were the best players from the smaller schools are now transferring to the bigger schools. And you're going to start seeing more and more of this. Now, whether that's accurate or not, I don't know, but
yeah, time will tell. I sit here and I'm like, I hate playing the overreaction game. I hate how much everybody overreacts to week 1, but who do you think looked really good? Who do you think looked really bad?
I thought it was impressive. I despise Notre Dame, but going to Kyle Field and winning a true road game. I mean, it wasn't. USC and LSU played in Vegas, so it was a neutral site game. So Notre Dame to go on the road to Kyle Field. You say what you want about Texas A&M, but that place is loud. I've been to a game there. The little yell leaders or whatever, they're fired up. But to win a true road game, I probably was the most impressive thing I saw anybody do in week 1.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good choice there. I was really impressed with Miami. Granted, I think they weren't playing a super talented Florida squad. Florida football doesn't quite look the same as it has in years past, but I just thought Miami looked very...
Cam Ward is definitely legit at quarterback, transferred from Washington State, I think. And the kid at Tennessee, Nico, I don't know his last name, but Nico, their new quarterback.
Like yeah,
I mean, they scored like a 76 piece or something on somebody, and just they asked him about scoring that much, and he was basically like, "We're going to leave no doubt." So he was impressive. I don't like Tennessee either, but he was very impressive.
Yeah, we'll see about it. It's
they go to Charlotte this week to play NC State, which is.
More of a test.
It's a couple of ranked teams now. Whether NC State's really that good, I don't know.
You've got several matchups like that this week. You've got Arkansas playing Oklahoma State. You've got Texas playing Michigan. Yep. There's going to be several kind of gaugers, I guess, for lack of a better term, that are going to give you a good, look at, are these teams the real deal? Is they're just, they're playing bad competition? What is it?
I know for a fact Florida State's not losing this week, though.
Against?
They have a bye.
Oh, well, hey, there you go. Way to look at it positively. I did think that Oregon didn't look sharp. Didn't watch a whole lot of that game, but everybody just talked about their offense, and I think they scored 30 points or less against Idaho. So
Georgia is looking like Georgia. I would be interested to see Georgia's second string offense and defense play the schedule and just see how it came out. I bet you, I wouldn't be shocked. This is kind of a dumb statement, I guess, but it wouldn't shock me if Georgia's second string didn't make the 12-team playoff. I mean, they're just loaded.
They're really good. It's kind of like whenever we talk about NFL on here and we talk about if you're picking against the Chiefs, you're an idiot. That's kind of true for Georgia right now as well. Obviously, playoff is going to change the outcomes of last year whenever they lose to Alabama in the conference championship. Don't make the 4 team. Obviously, now you're going to have to deal with them. They're not going to accidentally find their way out of the playoff.
They're going to be a PO'd 6 seed. If you go to last year, they're going to be the PO'd 6 seed, blowing someone out in Athens
at home, in
week 1, and then steamrolling the 3 seed, whoever that was. I mean, it would not be fun.
Yeah, I thought that game. That was a game of second half adjustments. I think Georgia really came out in the second half, made the right adjustments, and just took care of business like they should have. My overreaction from week 1 would be this could very well be the end of Dabo Swinney maybe at Clemson. That is an overreaction, not necessarily saying they won't make the playoff. I think he's just I think he's past the golden era of his Clemson time.
Well, he also kind of refuses to embrace the portal at all. And obviously I think you can do too much in the portal. Some would say Florida State, that's their biggest problem. Yeah. But I think just avoiding filling a couple of holes that you need to fill. I don't know.
What do you think the opposite of that is spending too much? Like you were saying, Florida State, like a continuity type of deal. Like
I think ideally what you want is what Georgia's done, and that's recruit 5-star after 5-star for 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
And now you've got kids that are going off to the NFL every year, and you got kids behind them that may have been better anyway. And they're just reloading with their own homegrown talent. And then if they need to go pluck, one or two, you got 5-stars leaving Georgia to go play at schools like Florida and Florida State and other Power 5 teams because they weren't getting to play at Georgia.
Yeah. Jared Verse, wasn't he? He was a portal guy.
He came from Albany.
Okay.
University of Albany. Yeah.
Holy cow, school. That's what you would call it.
And actually, they found him. They were watching tape of someone that Albany was playing, and they were like, "Who's that guy on Albany that keeps dominating the line of scrimmage?"
Really? I've never heard that story.
Now he's playing for the Rams.
Yeah. No. He was definitely that's a diamond in the rough right there.
Yeah.
You watch high school football? You get to watch any Friday night?
I did
lights?
not get to watch any Friday. Season opener. I mean, it's always a fun time across the state, and it's speaking of overreaction. You never know. This team's good. Are they? I don't know. I mean, there's so much. It's Webb City beats Legos to Lebanon and beats Lebanon, wasn't it? Is that right? That's
welcome
pretty
to the
impressive.
COC.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Lebanon's pretty solid program.
Yeah.
That's probably the most impressive thing from week one. But I mean, I think it sets up a lot of week 2 stuff that is certainly entertaining. But, it's Nix. I think Nix is at Webb City this week.
I was exactly where I was going. That's probably the matchup I'm highlighting for this coming Friday.
Probably the matchup. I mean, I think it's probably for your probably for the COC title.
Yeah, from what I saw early week 1, Carthage can probably be in that conversation. Beyond that, Kickapoo.
What about your Tigers hanging a 55 piece?
Ozark? I don't know if you'd really want me to say what I would say on that. I think I was dogging Willard last week. Don't make me dog Willard this week. Did they score a lot of points? Yes. Is Ozark that good? No. Is Willard that bad? Yes.
I mean, I think you mentioned Carthage. I think we'll find out how good Ozark is. They go to Carthage. Carthage, I think, number 6 in the state.
They're up there.
So we'll find out if that was legit or
absolutely on the road. You said,
yep,
yeah, that'll definitely be kind of it'll be interesting. There's definitely a few teams that I think got that little COC welcome to the COC treatment. Yeah. Obviously Lebanon's a team that runs the table very often in the OC, and now that's not the case because you have to play programs like Webb City and all of those of sorts. I don't know.
Lebanon's. A lot of teams are going to lose to Webb City. Let's be honest. So I think Lebanon's still solid. Coming out of the OC, Camdenton, traditional football power.
Yeah,
they had an impressive win over Jeff City. Was a district champion, I think, last year. But
did not see that.
They beat Jeff City last week, and of course they're not in the COC. They're up in that mid-Missouri type CIC or something, interstate conference, they're Rockbridge and Battle and all those. So that's kind of odd that you get Camden out of here, but Lebanon's better than they showed. But I think Nixa, Webb City, because Nixa beat them last year, if I'm not mistaken, beat Webb in the season opener or early in the season.
I think they had an undefeated. I think Nixa was undefeated in the regular season last year.
So we'll see.
Beyond that, I think some smaller class schools still going to have to surprise me a little bit more, show me some more. I thought that Marionville took care of business. They looked sharp. Of course, you're talking about the number 1 ranked team in Class 1 there, defending state champion.
Interesting game this week, though. They go to Forsyth.
Yeah.
Forsyth had a big win. They receiving votes in Class 3. They're kind of on the rise. So we'll see. Marionville hasn't lost a game since 2022, so...
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Forsyth is one of those schools. I don't even think they've had football all that long.
No, it hasn't been very long.
Yeah. So sometimes you kind of look at that and you think, do they have the depth? Do they have the experience?
I know we're talking about state powers and teams that are ranked, but shout out to Clever last week getting a win over Miller. I think that's the first win they've had. I think they had like 16-game losing streak or something. But
yeah,
so
that's another school that you're talking about.
Clever.
That's another school you're talking
relatively new program.
Yeah, which is really cool. I don't know. There's just so much still. It's just like how we say about overreacting with week one of college football. You kind of get some of those matchups. I would say, I wasn't too impressed with Reed Spring Rogersville. That was an 8-0 game.
Is Reed Spring in the new? They're not in the new Ozark Mountain.
No, they're still Big 8. They're still Big 8.
Okay.
I will say that Branson. I'll lean back on that. I'd said this prior, but Branson did show me last week that they're probably the front runner in the Ozark Mountain. If I had to take a guess, CJ might be up there with them, possibly.
West Plains
West Plains. They played Mountain Home. They got beat by Mountain Home, which is still a good matchup. I do like whenever that was kind of set up. West Plains Mountain Home. Branson ended up beating Harrison.
Yeah, it was
so that was a pretty cool. They had to go. It got postponed or something. They had to play it on Saturday or something like that. But it'll be competitive. But I think outside of, I thank you throwing West Plains in there. I think outside of those three, it's going to be hard.
I saw Ozark Mountain Conference has a X account or Twitter account.
Oh, okay.
And they had like a power rankings, if I remember. I don't remember who was top. I remember 7 teams, and I know Bolivar was 4th. They were like right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's what I remember seeing it, but I don't remember who was.
And this was after week 1?
It was after week 1.
It was after week 1? Yeah. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how things go.
Which was interesting because Bolivar lost like 35-0 to Osage.
Yeah.
And then they go to Harrisonville this week. Harrisonville's ranked. So
is Osage class 3?
They're smaller.
Class 2. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see for sure. What other takeaways you have from week 1 of college high school football?
I don't know. I know that it was the same matchup last year, but I know it's not Southwest Missouri, but number 1 in class 2, Blair Oaks goes to Class 3, number 2, Lutheran North.
Okay. Yeah.
Last year, Lutheran North went down to Blair Oaks and beat them. And so now they get the return trip. So that's, I know it's not a Southwest Missouri, but that may be the matchup of obviously I think Nixa Webb City is huge, a great matchup, statewide. If we were doing this in St. Louis, that's one you would talk about because of how good they are. But Blair Oaks and Lutheran North is certainly a game to watch this week if you're just a fan. So. Yeah.
And that's one that's really going to help out in terms of the points seeding, which is kind of weird to think about this early in the season, but high school.
Well, and honestly, that could be 4 teams: Nixa, Webb City, Lutheran North, Blair Oaks. That could be 4 teams that are playing for state titles in November because they're 4 different classes. So
speaking of a tough one there, a team that made it to the state championship last year, Republic. You start your season on the road at Nixa, and they hung in there somewhat, but by the time second half rolled around, they ended up getting steamrolled a little bit there. So I didn't catch anything from the northern part of the state. I'm not as good. It's out of my neighborhood.
I certainly didn't watch anything. I know somebody went and Blue Springs South. I know they were ranked high, got beat. They're like ranked 8th this week or something, but they lost to somebody important.
Early in the season is one thing. I think even as teams get defined up north and some of those power conferences, with those class 6 heavy conferences, you see a little bit more parity than we see down here amongst the COC and some of these other conferences. Typically there's less upsets, I feel like, down here.
Well, I'm sitting here looking at class 6 rankings, and 8 of the 10 are KC or St. Louis.
Yeah.
Nixa and Joplin are the only 2 that aren't.
Yeah. Joplin, I couldn't get a good feel for them. It's one of those things. They've always got high enrollment. They always have athletes, skill positions specifically. But we'll see how their season shapes out.
Seneca, Mount Vernon, they both Big 8.
It's a good question. If I had to guess, yes.
Both top 5 in class 3. Mount Vernon's at Seneca this week, so that'll be a big one to watch. Class in week 2 as well. So.
Yeah. And Seneca's been solid.
I think Seneca's in the Big 8. They were. When it was like the Big 8 East and West, I think they were in the West.
Yeah, it goes back to that, how have things shaped up after the conference realignments. I don't know them like the back of my hand. But yeah, it'll be, man, I don't know why I love high school football so much.
There's nothing like, man, the Friday night, you just walk in, you got the warm-ups, the band's playing.
Yeah.
You got some pregame presentation going on. You grab some popcorn, a dog. You'll sit down.
You always incorporate the food.
I guarantee you can't go to, that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. hot dog, popcorn, or you go popcorn and Coke to get settled in. Halftime, you're getting your hot dog. I mean,
you really think this out.
I do think this out. You don't want to completely, you got to get some chos at some point, little nachos.
Some chos. I do love some good nachos.
So
I'll tell you what, one thing I miss most about Friday Night Lights is just the interaction that you had with the student section. Always wanted to interact with the student section during the game and stuff. And
like, you mean when you were working the game, or?
Both. When I was playing, when I was working games, either or.
See, like when I was in high school, which now any game you go to, the first thing kid does when he comes off the field is yank his helmet off and kind of, make sure the stands sees him. We were when I was in high school, our coach, we were not allowed to take our helmet off until we were in the locker room.
Oh, really?
Even after the game, you kept your helmet on until you got in the locker room. That was a rule.
Just in case you trip and fall or something.
It was just you did not. We couldn't, sometimes kids get excited and they raise the number one finger in the air, okay, we're number one. He had a strict rule. He goes, if we win our last game in the dome, which at the time the state championship was in the Hoosier Dome, which then was the RCA Dome, which I'm dating myself, but he said if we win our last game in the dome, then you can raise your hand number one. It was a different era, but
yeah, no, it's definitely
you keep your helmet on. You didn't take it off.
No, I like that. I'm definitely
now. Of course, they got the long, shaggy hair. They got it.
Oh gosh, listen. I'm not old school by any means, but some of the stuff I'm starting to be like, I don't get this. Like, granted, it was decent weather this past weekend. It wasn't just super hot, but these kids in August wearing a ski mask under their helmet. What is this with a ski mask under the helmet? What is that? Like, it has. I don't understand it. I don't get like.
Well, I mean, even the guy like in baseball, like you watch Major League Baseball, and after every pitch, they got to step out and adjust the gloves. Well, I'm sitting there watching cornerbacks do this after every play. They're just they got the gloves on. Look like soccer goalies out there.
Yeah,
I mean, we were straight barehanded in high. We didn't wear gloves. Yeah. It was just, I don't know. A lot of it's for show.
It's all about the drip.
That's what they like to call it.
They got to have the drip.
Okay.
One thing that I didn't do, well, I did for a while. Whenever I was playing ball. A cool thing was like if you were tough, if you were hard on the football field, you didn't wear anything under your pads. You know what I mean? And I kind of came up in that era of like Zeke Elliott, get like, coming up big at Ohio State. So like people were always like tucking their jersey up and showing their abs and stuff. I learned real quick that you lay some wood and you start rubbing those shoulder pads. I still have scars. I still have scars on my shoulders from where I was like, thought I was cool, thought I was tough. And so I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna start wearing a shirt under my shoulder pads. I'm not that hardcore. All
glamorized now. It's all just. I'm not saying it's a me sport, but it just. Yeah. Of course, I'm also I sound like the get off my lawn guy over here too. So, but yeah, it was keep your helmet on. Who cares about the gloves and the sleeves and all of that stuff?
I'm going to lean into this conversation a little bit more. You said get off my lawn guy. Something that I've realized is aging me, is making me feel old, is the kids in my neighborhood. Now, school has just started back up. And these kids, I'm telling you, these kids in my neighborhood just had like the summer of their lives. Like they were riding the bikes with each other down the road, and they were like going over to each other's houses all the time. And like all this, like if I was a kid, I'd been like, dude, we just had the most bomb summer with the neighborhood kids. But as an adult, I'm like, these turds are out here again. I'm going to run one of them over because they're darting out of driveways on their bikes and doing all this, and they aren't paying any attention. So that's how I know I'm getting old. You know what I mean? I'm like, one of these little turds just threw an ice cream sandwich in my trash can and it reeks now. Yes. But whenever I was a kid, I probably would have thought like, man, that's the coolest thing in the world. But I'm definitely like not old school, but I feel
I'm old enough. I'm old enough that it was, you rode your bikes all over the neighborhood, and you showed back home when the street light came on. That meant it was time to go home.
Yeah.
And you drank water from a water hose. I mean, you're jumping bikes and jumping over the hills and, in the little trails and stuff, and going over to somebody's house and tackle football in the backyard or wiffle ball. I mean, it was just you just played outside all day, every day.
Yeah, and you weren't allowed to put up one finger.
Exactly. You couldn't say you're number one, and you didn't have gloves that you adjusted or anything.
Yeah. So. One thing I do love in that sense, though, is like whenever they're creating these cultures, coaches are, and setting those kind of guidelines. I really like it in today's world, wherever you see teams that have very simple uniforms, very just traditional. Like solid color uniforms. Sure, like Oregon with their 37 different options. Like, yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Penn State.
Penn State or like, Bama. Bama only has 2 options.
Yeah.
OU's kind of gotten away from it a little bit. They kind of have some alts now that they do. But yeah, just a nice, clean, two-tone, just, like, I don't know. I just feel like that kind of leans into that, like, hey, we're here on business.
Yeah.
We're here on business. Did you see Will Campbell? Is that his name? The LSU lineman? Did you see his comments about the game out of USC?
No.
His comments alone had me rooting for the Tigers because prior to them traveling out there, one of the reporters was like, man, what are you guys going to do out there in Vegas, man? Like, you guys don't always get to play these neutral site games, yada, yada, yada. He's like, listen, dude, like, we're not out there to go to Little Caesars. We're on a business trip. Like, we're going there to get in a fight at Allegiant Stadium and trying to win. And I was like, that's a dude I want on my team right there.
With his family. Brian Kelly's such a joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. LSU, they've had some turnover, haven't they, at head coach? Like, since Les Miles. Like, I feel like it's been kind of like one after the other.
Nick Saban won him his national title there.
Yeah, and that was before he went to Bama. Yeah, and then created the dynasty. Did you get to watch College Game Day?
I did not.
Oh, there's nothing better. There's a video.
I know exactly what you're about to talk about. It's the funniest thing. It'll be a meme forever. Is when they're in the commercial break.
Yeah.
And McAfee's dancing and all buttoned up. Saban's looking at him like, what have I gotten myself into? It's like the greatest. I've seen so many funny memes off of that.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It will be a meme forever.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the other thing I loved is like, I just get so enamored with college football. They have like the Nissan Heisman house.
Okay. Yeah.
And they've got Reggie Bush is now back.
He's back
for
in
the
house.
first time. For like, he's never been on the commercials before. But the literal like establishing, like beautiful marketing, the establishment of him being back in the house is that he was in like this cryo chamber. Like Austin Powers or something. And he's like, whoo, man. He's like, oh, I lost track of time. What's been going on? And it's got like robot dogs and like AI. And he's like, it's like, I don't know who it is. It's like Tim Tebow. He's like asking him, he's like, what's he doing over there? And it's like Billy Sims. He's like, oh, he's watching a football game on VR or something. It's a great commercial.
That's funny. Yeah. Those are all usually pretty good.
I love that for Reggie Bush though, honestly. I mean, with the amount of money that these guys are making nowadays, it's kind of like Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame type deal, and
give him his Heisman.
Yeah. So I think everything is full extent. Like he's welcome back to the ceremonies in New York. Okay. I think I could be wrong on that, but I think they've come back and said like, we'll let you.
They didn't take OJ Simpson's Heisman. Give Reggie his Heisman back. So.
Hey, if you've made it this far in the episode, thank you so much for joining us. We've got new episodes every Wednesday, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. A lot going on with the Hall of Fame here soon. We got several fall events that are coming up, both on that calendar and the Price Cutter Charity Championship calendar. We'll be in Cape Girardeau, September 17th.
Tuesday.
Yeah. To induct our...
a week from Tuesday, sorry.
Yeah. Week from Tuesday. That'll be our latest class of inductees from
But we will be in Columbia next Wednesday, a week from today. We'll be in Columbia to announce the... Columbia Enshrinement class for October, and very excited about that. Some very exciting inductees coming up.
Absolutely. Stay up to date with all those things that are going on at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame across our social media platforms. Be sure to leave us a review and catch us next time on another episode of Where the Game Lives On.